everybody. Welcome to one of my favorite episodes, which is the Red Bra Recap. I am here with my lovely and beautiful co-host, Renee. Hi, Renee.
Hi, it's so great to see you. You're looking radiant. I know we were just laughing about we feel like we should have been in bed an hour ago.
I just a full blowout to my hair at 8 o'clock. Who doesn't do that right now?
Just for Red Bra nights. That's the fun thing. I swear, I only do my hair whenever we meet. And some days it's not even that lucky.
Well, I was dry shampoo for several days, so it was needed, and it's a Red Bra is a good reason to, blow out my hair. So.
Yeah, I know. It's an excuse. I don't know if I'd ever wash it. Buns are great.
Right? So, but this really is one of my favorite. I love catching up on our guests, and I think it's a good way for people to kind of get a snapshot of who they may want to check out if they haven't checked out, or go back and listen. And we have a lot tonight to cover.
Yes,
We've had a busy summer, and we're catching them all up tonight.
We are. We're just going to go through our guests. We're going to give you guys the top highlights. As Shawna said, we're covering 8 of our amazing guests. And all of the stories are so diverse. They're so great. We've had such a great summer lineup. And to get the full episodes, remember, you can always head to our YouTube channel, theredbraproject.com, and just go down, find the episode number, and you can listen in for the whole scoop on our guest story. Or if you prefer to read, you can head to theredbraproject.com, check out the blog post, read through, and the links in there are to watch the video as well.
I love it. So you're going to start us tonight with episode 55. If you're ready to go, we've got, what'd you say, 8 to get through?
We do. Mm-hmm.
I like the sip of water before.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm getting ready for a race. All right, let's do it. Yeah, so number 55, episode 55, we sat down with the incredible, inspiring Heather Carr. So her story literally is about strength, hope, and light during such a dark time for her. And many people can relate to going through some pretty dark, tough times, especially this year. Hers took place a few years ago, and really what got her through and her family through was holding on to faith and positivity. She's raising a young family. Her husband served over in Afghanistan, safely returned back, and they were remodeling their home and their small hobby farm. So in beautiful Pacific Northwest, Washington State, gorgeous area up there. And they literally had 300 feet from their back porch leading out to the Nisqually River. So gorgeous, right on the river. It was just like, to hear her describe it was out of like a picture book. I remember listening to her talk about it. And then she went into her story, and her story drastically changes from the description of her beautiful home and the work and love and passion they were pouring into renovating it. It was one night in December, the family had just got done decorating their Christmas tree, and they went to bed, and they knew that wicked weather was supposed to come through, and the Pacific Northwest can drum up pretty strong storms with lots of rain, but they've weathered quite a few of them. And so the dam was it's managed, it's controlled. And so what happened that night was all of the rain came in, and it was a crazy amount. Typically the river is controlled by the local dam, and the dam was mismanaged, and that river crested to the top of the dam, and the floodgates were released fully without warning anybody. And her family woke up and just looked outside and literally was in a path of destruction. So when the river rose up and it took a different turn, normal path was turned away from their home, but due to the flooding, it turned right towards their home, cut right underneath their deck, and literally they're just looking at it. And to hear Heather talk about hearing the rushing waters and the trees coming down and cracking, and this cold December day, and just, she has a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time, her babies, and her husband was home. The authorities came out and quickly assessed the situation and said, you immediately have to evacuate from your home. It is unsafe. And to hear her talk about those emotions that ran through her at that moment, she shared with Shawna and I, she ran in with an Adidas backpack, and she gathered a few of her children's favorite toys, some diapers, some essentials, had about an hour to gather it, and they were out. With the grace and help of a family friend, they invited them into their home. And Heather went on to talk about just the incredible generous heart and hearts that people reached out to her, complete strangers, and helping them through a Kickstarter fund, which there's more details about that in her story, but to help them get back on their feet. And I mean, it was just, that's the whole first half of the story, which leads us into the light from there again. But I mean, just that itself, Shawna and I were pretty much sitting there like,
right. And then she's got this whole new business that she's doing outside of that. So you've got this story of resilience and then her path after that.
yeah. And so, I mean, as a family, there was a lot of ups and downs, as you can imagine. And they literally watched their home be destructed when they had to take it off because it was unsafe for them to move back into it with the way the river cut through and everything like that. So they were essentially rebuilding from the ground up. So through all of those moments, that's when faith and hope, and they held on to that. And one day Heather was in the shower and she genuinely shared with us that she was just crying, just letting it all out. And for some reason, she felt that God spoke to her and said, you need to start making candles. And she's like, what? I've never made a candle in my life. I have no idea where this is coming from. And it just kept weighing on her heart and her mind. And she took it to her husband. And her husband didn't even flinch. She's like, okay, I support you. So she went and took like a beginning candle making 101 class and started making small batches. And she posted on her Facebook page, sold out in no time. And that was the beginning of their incredible business called Sweet and Wild Farms. And I can tell you firsthand, her candles are amazing. The story is incredible. It's just one of such light and resilience. And you really have to tune in to hear how they went from complete destruction to building this incredible business that now she has her own candle making studio. Whereas, you know, she started with a pot on the stove. They're hand poured, they're small batch soy, incredible. So go and check her out. Episode number 55. You can follow her on Instagram at Sweet and Wild Farms. And may the light shine on you.
This is why I love these. Just going back and remembering our guests is so exciting. Episode 56 was Jessica Rambo. She was somebody that I found through following a different Instagram account. I followed this Instagram account called Skoolie Conversion, and it's about taking old school buses and converting them into whether it be houses or traveling companies. And Jessica's is a combination of both of that. She lives in her bus and originally was designing it to be a tiny home, and from there really had this passion. I should say she's a retired Marine, and you know, unfortunately had to retire for medical reasons. She was in a car accident that left her injured, and she no longer could do the combat correspondent that she was filming and being there with the Marines. And it set her on this new path of what could she do? You know, all these questions of what was her passion. And she designed the coolest school bus into a home for her children, who made an appearance on the show with us in his Painted Buffalo, which is her company, red shirt. So he was on brand for us. He was on brand for her. It was perfect. But yeah, Jessica, her story, she's now traveling, and all of this started too, of course, at COVID. So her plans have, you know, diverted a little bit, but she takes her bus on the road and is meeting with veterans and giving them the opportunity to use art to tell their story, to feel those emotions. And, you know, I don't want to speak specifically for it, but as we know, a lot of our veterans do go through post-traumatic stress. There's so much going on for them based on what they've seen out in the field or friends that they've lost. And so this is a way that Jessica's giving back to her brothers and her sisters that are Marines or veterans of the Marine Force. And just her story is really beautiful because it's helping her too along the way. So it's the Painted Buffalo. And if you have not checked her out, we can't encourage it enough. The blog has amazing photos to go along with it, but her page as well. It's just to see what she did with this bus and the work and the tears and the sweat and everything that went into this. She built that bus. And I think just hearing her detail, like, well, I had to fit this in here and I had to decide how this was going to work. And then, you know, tires going out. And when you think all these things, I think what we're going to hear with all of our guests tonight is this resiliency, and just, I think she really was lost after that accident of what was she going to do next, and she continued that passion with the Marines, and it's so exciting. It's something that, I mean, her boys are traveling with her on this bus, and I think that's so cool. And for them to get this cross-country adventure with her, and to see the way that she's giving back to others, to a community that honestly needs more from us in this country. It's great that she is leading that force right now.
I agree. And I think I got goosebumps when you said it, but all of these stories, I mean, we talk about resilience, and I mean, oh my goodness, pour it on for 2020. And Jessica, she just got, give her a little shout out because she just installed solar panels on the top of her bus as well. Now it is solar powered, and she's doing this en route as she's traveling. So rock on, girlfriend. So go and follow.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely check out the blog. Every way to connect with her is linked there. Definitely taking donations for the Painted Buffalo, for art supplies. She's using like combat cans to like have the art supplies. So it's all very Marine and military themed. And it's just, I'm so grateful that I followed this other account and was brought her into our life, because I think she's a fantastic member of our community.
She is. And if you are a veteran, or you know a veteran who could use some of this art therapy in their life, on Jessica's page, she has a link to request a stop. So if she's in the area, she can work with the community and make a stop as well. So spread the word. It's so important. So all of the ways to connect with her on her Instagram at Painted Buffalo Traveling Studio, and you can get it all through our blog too. So that's awesome. So on to episode 57. So we sat down with the incredible, memorable, and just, I felt like we could talk to her for such a long time, Shawna, Sejal Thacker. So she is the founder and chief civility officer of Train Xterra, which is her own company. But Sejal shares a super authentic, genuine story with us about her childhood and her upbringing, that everything that happened in her young life, of course, shaped and molded her into exactly where she is today. And she is just working. I mean, she is making incredible positive change out there. So she is actually, she's the daughter of immigrants in the US growing up in a suburb of Chicago. So they were the only Indian family in a complete Italian family neighborhood. And her young experiences started from the time, I mean, she was going to school. So her family owned a business, a convenience store, and darker skin, and had an accent. And the kids, they would say horrible things to her. She battled, she battled discrimination and bulliness and just everything you could imagine as a 6-year-old, as a 5-year-old, as a young little girl. And to hear her talk about it, that she was such an inquisitive child that, they would say things, of course, like, go back to your own country. And she's thinking, well, this is my country. This is where I was born. But in her mind, she would want to know why. Why are they saying this to me? Why am I being made to feel like I don't belong here? I didn't get to choose my skin color or what I look like or anything like that. And so to hear Sejal go through and tell some of her own personal experiences about what it was like, she keeps such a kind and humble and loving heart. And she told us it came to a head. At a young age, she realized she was going to be ultimately forced to make a decision. She could either take one route, and that was turn into the hatred and show the hatred back to her peers, and be angry and aggressive and take all of that and just keep letting it pour into her in the negative way. Or she could take the alternative route and be on the other side of the fence and figure out a way to create positive change. And this was at a child's age that she was faced with this decision, and she realized it. Another incredible story about resilience.
Yeah, I mean, and her talking about her son being at these shows with her presentations, and making him proud and making him see what his mom's doing is just so important in her work. And like you said, I mean, we could have talked to her all night. She's just, I mean, her work with civility is just, it's really, I just have no words, because I'm grateful for what our country is going through right now, that people like her exist.
100%. And oh my gosh, she is doing such incredible work. So she is the only social media outlet that she's on is LinkedIn, but she posts incredible resources over on LinkedIn, not just for you to learn as an individual, but for companies. And so her focus, regardless of different skin colors, races, backgrounds, her focus is to help organizations create environments of dignity and respect. And she's not just training executives and managers, but she wants the employees to feel comfortable and empowered in their work environment and equal for everybody. And so she's training from the top up. And but she also works really hard to provide those individual resources. Even in our conversation, our episode with her, number 57, when she was telling us, she gave us a test that you could take to see if you have any biases. And so it's a free test. And it's linked in the blog on the Red Bra Project. But she has these resources, and it's just so great because when everyone says, I want to try and do something or I want to learn, she's putting out the tools to use that and to start recognizing some of the things we may not realize we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People have to watch that one. They need to connect with her.
I agree. She's incredible. And I mean, she's had over 15 years of employment law experience, human resources, legal counsel. So she's incredibly trained, a beautiful speaker, and just such a powerful storyteller. So that's Sejal Thacker. All right, so we are up to episode 58.
We are 58, Bibiana Krall. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Talk about, we could have talked all night. She has lived a life and then a life and then a life. And it's just, what an incredible journey. You know, I mean, the conversation started talking about that she was an international traveler, and that's only a small piece of what she has done in her lifetime. But I think what's so cool about Bibiana is she shared with us that since the age of 4, she had a plan for her life. She knew what she was going to do. She was laying down in the grass or the field, looking up at the stars in a tutu, and decided that plan 1 was to be a ballerina. And plan 2, what she's on now, or plan B, I think she's reversed to it as, is to be an author. And I mean, her story of how she got there, and just, you know, one day telling her husband, I can't do this anymore. I think she tore a Vogue magazine, like the thick Vogue magazine that we all wait for. She destroyed the thing because she was so unhappy with what she was doing in life. And she knew it wasn't that, you know what? She knew her plan since the age of 4. And she knew what she was doing was not bringing her joy, was not what she wanted. And so she quit her job and decided that she was going to pursue writing. And that was really hard for her because as much as she wanted to write, she didn't know how to write, is what she shared with us. And she said, you know, she thought that sounded weird, but I think we both agreed, like, no, we all want to write a book. It doesn't necessarily mean we know how. So oddly enough, she quit her job. We're going to talk about another guest later who says, don't do that. So, you know, everybody's plans are different, but she quit her job to be an author because that was plan B of her 3-part plan. We don't know what part 3 is, but we do know that it's going to start at the age of 70. And I don't doubt at all that it's going to happen for Bibiana. I think it's very clear that when she sets her mind to something, it's going to happen. I mean, this episode, I really, like, when I say we could have talked all night, there's so much depth to what she has lived in life. But today in the mail, I got her book, like literally today, so it couldn't have been better timing. Thank you, Bibiana. You must have known we were filming, and you have yours too. Yeah. So this is Hearth Fires, and this is 6 short stories. Perfect time right now for Halloween. I was scared as she described her stories to me. Like, if you watch back on this, I'm like, you could tell that I'm like, I'm ghost scared. I don't watch scary movies. And she has had like real life experiences with ghosts. I think for the holidays of Halloween coming up, we're moving into October. It is time. You should pick up a copy of this. She also has an audio version that you can download if, you know, you don't have time to read, or audio is more your thing. But yeah, I think watch the episode, because if you do like scary stories, there are moments where she shares with us just experiences that she's had with, I guess, the paranormal. And I get chills just thinking about it, but so much fun. There's so much there. Like I said, I mean, I feel like we could have done 3 parts with her, and maybe that's why she's got a 3-part plan, because there was the international travel, there was, talking about the career change, and then really writing the book and what those stories meant.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, she is just so multifaceted and layered and just has so much to talk about. And just 2 more quick things. The cool thing about this book is she partnered for the first time with another. She co-wrote it, Veronica Klein Barton. And this came out of COVID. So this is a positive thing that came out of COVID. And she was so excited about that. And of course, we love to hear the positive COVID stories that come during this quarantine time. But this was a collaboration between these 2 amazing authors, and it came to fruition just in time for October, and they're short stories. So I mean, this isn't very big, and you can pour yourself a glass of wine. I like to say pour a glass of wine, eat some candy corn, and enjoy the book. So yeah.
I love it. Yes, and thank you for giving the other author credit. I should have done that as well.
No worries. I know she has the link, of course, on her Instagram page at Stardust Mermaid. You can buy it off of Amazon, I believe. And she even has a YouTube with some other authors going on too, but all the links are on her page and in our blog. So we are on episode 59.
9.
Yes. So this was such a fun episode with a red bra highlight right out your back door, it turns out. So we sat down, with the incredibly talented, I'm going to say talented because she's a self-taught musician, Lauren Bateman. So literally a research scientist turned musician. And this is a little bit of a fun story because the way we got to meet Lauren was my dad, hey Pops, he actually was looking for someone to teach him guitar. And he's been practicing for a few months and using the YouTube videos and stuff like that. And he's a beginner, and he was so frustrated. And then he found Lauren and learned a little bit about her story and was like, hey, you should check out my guitar teacher because she's pretty cool and she'll be good for the Red Bra Project. I said, well, it's a good thing you know people, Pops. So we reached out, and she wanted to be part of the Red Bra Project community, which is so cool because she is another woman with so many layers and parts to her story.
Yeah, I mean, a Red Bra first, one recommended by your dad, and then talking to her, found out that she and I know people. She's in the Boston area, went to a school that I used to work at. So just, a reminder of how small the world really is and all the paths that we cross daily that we don't even realize.
Yeah. And so Lauren's story begins, she's always had a passion for music, but not the piano per se. So her mom had paid for lessons for her as a child, and apparently it ended up not going to use just during that. It wasn't something Lauren thrived on. So coming to her 16th birthday, her sister went out and was going to buy her a guitar. And her mom's like, no, don't buy her a guitar. You're going to waste your money. Well, her sister found a good deal from a college dorm mate. And it turns out that this guitar came with a VHS how to play guitar tape. And so we were cracking up about that a little bit in the story, but that is kind of what sparked Lauren right off onto guitar. And that's when she was 16. And ironically, it was around the same age that she was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma disease as a child. And so she feels like the guitar and that really helped her get through that time. And another incredible story of resilience and how what happens to you and us shapes us. And so while she was going through treatment and learning to play her guitar, she learned at a very young age that today is today. She has this moment, and that's something that she has carried with her ever since then. And it's something that she doesn't share all of the time. We asked, do you get to share a lot of your stories with your students? And she said they come up sometimes, but this is the first time she was able to share her story was through the Red Bra Project. And her students, we got some of the comments and feedback. We just loved learning and hearing about her. So Lauren ended up, she went to high school, graduated college, and she actually, had a love for science. So she actually ended up working at a pharmaceutical company that I'm just checking my notes really quick so I get it right. I can't read my scribble, but it was a pharmaceutical company that held a special place in her heart because it also had to do with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So there was a huge connection there. Ended up going on a cruise. It was kind of really folks, artsy, lots of music. She brought her guitar. She was 26, I believe. And at that moment, she was like, wow, I really need music back in my life. And she's like, well, I really have only taught myself on one guitar and a VHS tape, so maybe I'll take some classes. And from there, she was off and running, and she just fell in love with it. And she literally taught herself how to play guitar. And one day she was sitting down with her girlfriend, now wife, and she said, hey, do you mind if you just pick up the guitar? I want to see if I can teach you how to play. And she's like, okay. So she picks it up. And Lauren starts to give her the instruction, and she starts to play. Lauren grabs the guitar out of her girlfriend's hand, runs to the next room, and makes a website right away because she realized what it was like, again, to be a beginning student and to learn that first note. And she realized she not only had a natural talent or, you know, a natural way of teaching it, but she kept it fun, which is huge.
Yeah, I love that story, and I want to one day interview her wife and be like, "What were you thinking in that moment? Did you think you messed up?" Like, she just grabs the guitar and runs. Like, it seems like one of those scenes you see in a movie. Like, okay, thanks, and she's off.
Yeah, I got what I need. Okay,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's just one of the small parts of her story. We kind of went off in a lot of different directions throughout our conversation, but those are the highlights. She now, she teaches online lessons. She owns 3 schools in the Boston area, music schools. She's an incredible teacher. She's so authentic. You instantly kind of just, I don't know, you just vibe with her, and she has such a great energy that you'll be able to see in our conversation with her. And she gives a free guitar crash course, so go check her out. You can follow her at the Lauren Bateman, and then all of her links are there, and then of course her blog or her blog on our website is there as well. So
Yeah, I hope she starts talking more and telling her story, because it's just, as we kept telling her, there's so much to share, and just hopefully it resonates with her. And she said we weren't the first to tell her that, so.
Exactly, yes. And for everyone listening, go listen to her episode and share it so we can get her story out, so it helps inspire other people too. She talks about the demographic she works with. It tends to be a little bit older, but it's people that are like, I've tried to learn how to play guitar forever and it's not clicking. And her testimonials from her students are fantastic. I mean, she keeps it fun. She keeps it laid back. She keeps it, you know, just not stressful. And that's what you want when you're learning a new instrument or a new hobby, anything. So
Absolutely.
yes.
Well, from that fun, we move on to episode 60, which I unfortunately was not able to be at, but it was with the fantastic Jennifer Myers. And I have to say, and I've already shared this with Renee, I mean, just watching this episode back and listening to the two of them, I mean, her story is just, I don't even want to give it all away because there's so much there. But, you know, immediately when she said she was from Ohio, I was hooked. But she's now, you know, living in San Diego, and, you know, started as a dancer. Is her background. That's what she went to the Ohio State for, was dancing, moved to Chicago, was dating a guy who was captivating, but also she learned very quickly was the head of some pretty large marijuana trafficking. And I think, you know, just me rewatching and listening to it, you can tell that she's kind of like, yeah, there were moments that I knew what I was doing. It wasn't right. But, you know, sometimes the heart makes you do things that you don't know why. But she also, I think you asked her this question specifically. She said there was a rush from it. You know, she's a performer. She's been a performer. There's an excitement behind what was happening there. And ultimately, she got involved in the trafficking as well. I don't want to give it all away. There's so much there. Her story, and she tells it so much better. But she ultimately did get caught. Spent 17 months in federal prison, and is now, you know, on the other side of it, doing TEDx talks. She wrote a book. It's gosh, I don't want to let Trafficking the Good Life, and just there's so much to where she was, what her path was. You know, small town Ohio girl, wants to be a dancer, is in Chicago, should be on the right path. Took a turn, loved the money, loved the thrill of it, and then, you know, I think she spent, I mean, and again, I mean, I don't, there's so much that, and hearing it in her own words is just more than I could ever give it credit to, but like waited 2 years for her sentencing, and then working with a consultant who kind of prepped her for what it was going to be like. And that's what she's doing now, you know, working as a consultant, not focusing on what went wrong, but what can she do now, to celebrate the good in life. And just, there's something very special about Jennifer. I'm so grateful that she was recommended to us, by Sejal, right? Am I correct with that?
Right.
We're getting so many recommendations from previous guests that it's really exciting to see this circle come together. But so grateful for that. I wish I had been there. Can't wait to read her book because, and if you're interested, it is available on Amazon. The reviews are incredible. And it's really talking about that life, like coming from the small town and what happens after. And Renee, you were there, so if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, I mean, Jen is just amazing. She's so kind-hearted, and you know, she talks about her experience in prison and what it was like to watch all of these mothers not be able to be mothers, and they have long, lengthy sentences due to non-violent crimes.
Right.
I mean, some days, of course, I mean, it was a roller coaster. Some days are a lot harder than others. And Jen really found her release in those hard days when she had to escape through her creativity and through her art, and things that she had forgotten about that came back. And for her and her story, she was rediscovering herself in there. But when she got out, she wasn't the same person. And she talks about that, and she talks about how she knew while she was in there that when she got out, she had to do something positive to help, to be a prison advocate, but also to be somebody who she can help, just not just teenage women make, or girls and young women make better decisions. And so she's out there owning her choices and her mistakes, and she is trying to talk about them and help others from making the same mistakes. And she's just doing it in so many incredible ways. They started up a nonprofit helping young women and young teenagers as well to make those positive decisions, and to remind people that there is another side to this. You can get through it. And she uses a lot of examples of what helped her. So such a great episode. Definitely worth a watch. And her memoir, she's a TEDx coach now, so she helps people to really hone in on their story and get up on stage and tell their story to an audience. And so she's just doing so many amazing things out there. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so sad I missed it, but I mean, just you can feel her energy, and I can't recommend it enough for people to watch.
Yes, I agree. So episode 61, yes, 61 was Veronica Winsky. And this is so great. Okay, so she's from the Dream Life Formula. You can follow her at the Dream Life Formula. And Jen's handle really quick on Instagram at Jen Myers, MYERS 198. So that's how you can find her, and then connect to all her other ways to connect with her and things. And of course, it's in our blog. So episode number 61, Veronica Winsky. So we sat down, and immediately there's just this vibrant, radiant energy coming from her. And she has this gorgeous backdrop. And so I do a quick intro, and I want to throw it to her to start telling us a little bit about herself, but I get distracted a little bit. I'm like, tell me about your background, because it's this beautiful beach setting and everything. And immediately from the get-go of the conversation, I mean, she's just talking about how important imprinting is, and putting out what you want and having those visual reminders. She had big plans to travel this year. This was her year to get back to traveling. And then of course, COVID hit, but that doesn't mean that she's going to go ahead and just, you know, pull a curtain over it. Instead, she put up this beautiful backdrop that she uses in back of her. So we chat about that at the beginning. But what she does today is she helps corporate women to recondition unhealthy mindsets and behavior to step into their dream life. And the reason why she can do that is because she's done it herself. So she talks about, she's another one. And as I was talking to her, I was instantly like, her and Bibiana have to meet, because the whole thing about the Red Bra Project is we get to meet incredible guests, but then our guests start chatting and get to meet each other and follow each other and become connected, and just watching these relationships are so awesome. So before I'm even done talking to her, I'm like, you and Bibiana have to meet. And so sure enough, they started chatting once we posted her episode. So that's awesome. But so she talks about her own experience. She always knew from a young age. To hear her talk about it, so she grew up in Poland. She traveled a lot when she was younger, and at the age of 14 she moved to the United States. So in Poland, it's not like they, watched a Hollywood movie or, went out and did all kinds of things all the time. They connected. So they had relationships, community, connected. And that's kind of where her foundation started. And then you couple that with traveling. And she was starting to build kind of a wide eye vision, if that's a word, or I just made it up, sure, of the world and kind of her heart, her desires, and her passion. So it all, played into her upbringing. And she came over to the United States at 14 years old, her and her brother, her mom and dad. And 3 months later, her father passed away. And so her life was completely turned upside down, and in a new environment, adjusting, new schools, new friends, new community. And her dad, the rock, of the family, was no longer there. And so she definitely went through a phase of feeling lost, and had to work to find herself. And so she talks a little bit about that, and talks about finishing high school and getting into college. And the whole time she kind of is trying to take in what other people are doing. What is this American dream I keep hearing about? What is this American dream? What exactly is that? Well, at the time it was working, making your way into a large corporation and working your way up the ladder. And to rewind a little bit, she goes back and talks about, in her heart, she knew that she always wanted to help people. And she's very confident about it, which I enjoyed hearing her explain, because she said, I knew as a young girl, I was able to help people. If they could just listen to me and do what I said, and I would get paid, I'd make lots of money. So from a child's perspective, it sounds so easy, but then we grow up, and as adults, we tend to overcomplicate things. So that was always her heart passion, was to help people. Well, while she was going to college, she spoke to a high school guidance counselor, or a college guidance counselor, and was talking about what she wanted to do. And she was advised that she would need a PhD. Well, at the time, she did not want to go that route. So she took a left or right or whatever turn and went into international business. So she graduated with a minor in psychology, and she started going down the business route. She got a fantastic international corporate job right out of college. And before you knew it, she was flying everywhere, managing executive accounts. And she looked like she was super happy on the outside. She had this great job. She traveled. She made tons of money. She should be happy and fulfilled, right? Down deep, she wasn't happy. She was not fulfilled. It was just, she had no time. And so she can relate to a lot of corporate women going through that, and that is why she helps them. And so what changed for her was she was on a flight. She happened to have a book with her, and she read it. And I don't know if I want to say it. I don't know if I'm going to give it away here. You have to go and watch the episode to see which book and check our blog post. But she read that book, and when she got done, she said, okay, I know what I need to do. And that started her career pivot. And from there, she got herself a business mentor, some coaches herself, and she stepped out of the corporate world and into the entrepreneurial world, and is now helping women step into their best selves and create these incredible possibilities, and just through abundance and light and energy. And so go Veronica. And she shares two quick things about, number one, you can't let the drunk monkeys take over all of the stuff you want to do in your head. So like they just walk past with their symbols or whatever. Every time you get yourself psyched up to do something, you're going to do it. You're going to take a different path. There's always going to be a drunk monkey who comes in and tries to talk you out of it. So she has an analogy for that. And she has an analogy for when crazy things happen. Part of her story was her second life wipeout, she called it, is when she, 2008 was a rough year. She not only lost her home, she lost her savings, relationships, career. So it was a complete life wipeout. And that was 2008, the last big, downturn of the economy. And she built herself back up from there. So go check out Veronica at the Dream Life Formula. She has some freebies on her site. She does work with clients one-on-one, but she also does have group sessions too as well. So.
Yeah. Another one that I missed that I was watching back, like, oh, she's so exciting. So if I can watch, everybody else can watch too. They're exciting and they're just great to get to know and really hear the perspective of all of our guests. So can't recommend watching them enough. But we are finally to number 8, which is episode 62, not episode 8, episode 62. Our most recent guest, Kenya Kelly. Woo! Talk about, I left inspired. I left wanting to learn TikTok, kind of. I know I should do it now is what I should say. I feel like I have an 11-year-old and I'm not cool enough to do TikTok in her mind. So, but Kenya Kelly, I mean, I just don't even know where to start with her marketing, brand expertise. But really, just listening to her story, Renee, of kind of overcoming. What's that?
You said resilience again. I mean, super resilient.
Yeah.
Grit.
I mean, it's funny because she starts it off and, she's an author, a podcaster. She's doing all this branding stuff. And, she's talking to us about how she first got into like sales and had this man that kind of helped her along, gave her all these books. So she's reading John Maxwell and she's reading Zig Ziglar. And that is ultimately what helped her when she hit this pitfall in her life. And so the big moment was she was going through a divorce and, what she shared is that, it took a long time for her to be comfortable sharing, what had happened between her and her husband. She shared for the first time with us that, she was pretty much homeless, living in a hotel, living off of cheeseburgers that she could get cheap from McDonald's or wherever. And, it's just, she tells this story, and as somebody that's divorced myself, just the acknowledgement that she makes that she's not a failure and that going through these things does not make you a failure. That thing failed. And I loved when she said that. She's like, I didn't fail. She's like, if I'm dead, I failed, I guess, because the story's over. But, I myself am not a failure. The thing failed. And so she said, what she continued to have to pull from, like, when she had to go back to a corporate job, which she knew was not for her because, she's got pride and she thought she was better than the woman she was working with, but she checked her pride. And it was just really awesome to hear, you don't delete what you know. And so she started pulling from those books that she read, everything that she had been given before. And, she turned that into, these TikTok stories. So now she's the divorced lady on TikTok and she's the entrepreneur and the businesswoman on other platforms, but she's got all these facets. She's so just genuine. Like there's just an energy and like transparency with her that you just feel good. She's got this amazing studio too. As I sat there and I was like, can I have that wall? Like, how can I get that? I want her podcast mic. Like, I mean, she is on brand for her brand. Like she's putting out there what she wants everybody to be able to do. I know she's somebody that you've been watching for a while and has really just been someone you've been following. I'm so glad you found her and that she was willing to come on because she's another one. And I feel like there's so many two-parters that we could do, but her story is just beginning. There's still so much more to her. The following she's gotten on TikTok is strong and I think only growing. And so I want to see where this TikTok expert takes us. I think that there's a whole journey that we're about to watch her go through. And I feel so excited about everything she's doing. So her book, I kind of referenced it a little bit about, Viviana just quit her job and she was done and she pivoted that way. But what Kenya suggests is don't do that. Before you quit your job, how about you test the waters a little bit? Make sure this is something that you enjoy. Get your family on board or your friends. Let them know you're pivoting just so that as all of this is coming together, you can make sure that this is something you want to do, but you've got that foundation, you've got the salary, you've got whatever your current job is to help get you to that next spot. So quitting, unless it's a necessity, try and hold off if you can.
Yeah, for her, she started also very young, right out of college in network marketing business. She was fantastic, made tons of money, and then she lost it all and had to check her ego really quick. And so what inspired her to write that book was watching other people in network marketing quit their jobs too quickly and then watching what happened afterwards. So she wanted to put something out there that kind of made you think before you took the leap, especially within that industry. So.
Right. And by no means is she stopping the leap. She's just trying to make sure you have a plan.
Yeah. And I mean, she's a branding expert. And I mean, she runs her businesses. She has her social media outlets, but I mean, she shows up every day. And I mean, she's so just genuine. And I express this to her, but I love how she pops little truths into her key like lessons and whatever she's teaching, or her little snippets on Instagram Reels and TikTok, and even her short videos. So she's pretty awesome. Yes. I mean, yeah, we were crushing on her for a while.
Yeah. And I think the importance for her of having God in her life, you know, there was a moment where she told us that she could literally hear the angel and the devil talking to her when she was, you know, when she found out about her husband and that most likely they were going down the path of divorce. She could hear the devil saying, turn your car into the truck and he will need to love you. And she's like, wait, but like having that strong enough connection to be like, you know what? I don't think that's the way to go. But I think we've all been in those moments where our subconscious can tell us things. And she showed a lot of strength in being able to drown out those noises. And I love all of our guests, but I feel like whenever I'm talking about one, I'm like, I love it. It was great.
It's so true. It's so true. And that was an awesome recap. So we gave you guys the highlights. We've left out so much. It's amazing how much we can talk about in the time with our guests. But the full scoop, like I said, is on the redbrawproject.com. All of the blogs are there. Or head to our YouTube channel and you can check out the episodes there. There's a lot of Red Bra firsts that happen behind the scenes stuff. I mean, we just hit play and go with it. We roll with it. There's no editing.
Sometimes I wish there was, you know?
Oh, yeah.
When you're accused of sounding like a dog.
I know, I did. I wasn't sure what was happening in your world that night, Shawna.
That was many moons ago. That was early on.
We've had some awkward moments.
We sure have, but so much fun. And I mean, the relationships and the connections are just priceless at this point. So
they are. And our biggest thing is if one story can inspire somebody else, please, if you take a listen and you like it, share it with that person if you think about them. That's the power of sharing your story. And that's what the Red Bra Project is all about. So if you do know somebody or if you want to share your story, reach out to us. You can reach us through email at the Red Bra Project. On Instagram, our email link is right up in there. It's on our webpage. You can DM us, whatever works for you. You can leave a comment on our YouTube video. We'll check them all. So we love to share the stories and highlight women, all kinds of stories and Red Bra moments. So we want you to be a highlight we talk about in our recap.
Well, this was so much fun. I'm so glad we got to recap everybody. You've got some things on the side there next to you. You want to share what those are?
I do. I've got one more shout out. So we've been doing something kind of fun this end of summer. We've been doing creative shout outs every Thursday. So all kinds of different creative stuff. We had an awesome, oh my gosh, that delicious cupcake sketch. And we've had a beautiful painting from an author I'm going to talk about right now. A canvas painting. This week we have something fun coming up. I have another one right here. So we're doing creative highlights every Thursday. And this book here, you can see with my light, Middle Finger Happiness. Work hard, live well, don't with me. Sharon Zapata. So awesome book. Again, a quick read. I'm getting ready to get into it in my morning, like 10-minute time that I take in the mornings. I have a feeling this is good. I mean, her reviews on Amazon are incredible. So if you're looking for somebody else who is genuine, down to earth, tells you how it is, and, you know, is somebody who's just like, go and live your life and this is why, she's awesome. So we're going to read this and give her a review, but check that out. And we have an awesome illustration here. This was a gift that was so sweet. Shawna sent this to me from her amazing friend Stephanie at Juniper Branches. And I said one day, I mean, we have a few of our women shown here. And one day we're going to have a big mural, I'm sure, painted with all of our women. But it is hand illustrated and gorgeous. And there's 8 women on here representing the Red Bra Project and their different stories. And it's just so beautiful. So thank you.
I'm glad you love it. And she is so talented. What a gift to be able to, one day I want to learn how to draw.
And sing.
All of it.
And
yeah. And Lauren can teach us guitar.
Yeah. Well, Lauren might want to take us on. I mean, we can't be too tough. We'll see.
We could try. Maybe we do an episode where Lauren teaches us. Who knows? Red Bra first.
Well, thank you.
Well, this has been fun.
So fun. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Head on over, check out the rest of our stories. Have a great night. And yeah, that's about it. Bye.
Good night, everyone.